on BBC Radio Sheffield. So Dan Archer is the managing director of Visiting Angels South Yorkshire. We're going to talk about their third annual Carefest in just a moment. But you got really excited when you heard Gino, didn't you, Dan? Because you've got a little connection with that band, haven't you?
Well, we were talking about live music. I remember winning a dancing competition in 1981 at a community hall in Lawton Common. And I won it dancing to Daisy's Midnight Runners, Come On Eileen. There you go.
What was the prize?
I think I had a little trophy.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's somewhere in your house. It should be anyway, shouldn't it? And we were also talking about the fact that you missed Paul. We've been talking about live gigs because of Paul's homecoming at the weekend. You weren't able to go, were you?
No, moved house Friday into Saturday. So yeah, literally sort of spent my weekend with boxes and things like that. So I wasn't able to get to the gigs.
No Jarvis for you then?
No Jarvis for me. No, I've been trying to get Jarvis to come to Carefest though. So. Apparently, I need to talk to you about that because you've got a fish counter connection.
Oh, we have got a fish. Yeah, you are right. A fish counter connection and deli connection. But enough about that, Dan. So we've just been talking about holidays. But if you're not going anywhere this year and you're looking for free ways to keep your children busy and a way of just getting into the community a bit, socialising, well, my next guest has got the perfect thing. So as I said, third annual Carefest happening on the 31st of July, organised by Visiting Angels South Yorkshire, and Dan Archer is the managing director. So Dan, this is exciting, your third one. What have the first two been like then?
Amazing. So yeah, we did the first one because we sort of post-COVID, we always used to do a barbecue in the summertime for the carers to say thank you to them and to their families, because I'm conscious that when someone's working in care, they're not being a mum, they're not being a sister, so we need to involve everybody in that. And so then lockdown stopped us from doing that, and then the first one was post-COVID, and so we had some bands and we had a bit of food and a bit of drink, and then last year's got bigger still, so we had 4 live bands and a gin tent and a hog roast and face painting for the kids. This year bigger still again, so I guess I organise music festivals now. So 31st of July between 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Our charity this year is Pacers, which is a local charity supporting people and families with cerebral palsy and motor disorders. And we've got a busy lineup. We've got a guy called Joseph O'Brien, who's a solo vocalist. We've got a chap from Portsmouth coming all the way up called Matt O'Neill, who does Britpop 1990s stuff. We've got a party band from Hull called Rapture. They're a 4-piece band. And then we've got Razzmatazz Theatre Schools performing songs from Six the Musical. Wow. And we've got, topping the bill actually, a lady called Charlotte Branson, who was BBC introducing. She's a Sheffield singer, and she's actually on at Tramlines on Sunday night, so she's having a bit of time off and then coming to us on the 31st.
That sounds good to me. So she'll have a warm-up at Tramlines and then come and give her juice to you.
Absolutely
then at Carefest.
right.
That's how it's working, isn't it? In terms of feedback, because obviously you are putting your carers first, aren't you? Yeah. By giving them a celebration, a bit of time, and a bit of downtime, as you said. What kind of feedback have you had then from your carers?
Well, we do these events because it's important that we say thank you to our carers, right? And working in care is an incredibly difficult thing to do. And as an organisation, Visiting Angels, we really try and value our carers. We call it being carer-centric, so we've made them the most important people in the business. But Carefest is for our carers. It's also for anybody else that works in care. And so it's a free event, so a local community event. Anybody can come, free to get in. If you work in care, bring your ID badge and you get free food and drink as well.
That's incredible, isn't it? Children are welcome, as you said,
Absolutely
as well.
Absolutely right, yeah.
So for that, the event, where do you hold the event then? Is it the same place every time?
It is, yes. So it's on the Thorncliffe Industrial Park in Chapeltown, so just north of Sheffield, so just off Junction 35A. There are banners, there are signs to guide people in. There's plenty of parking, and we've got a green area where we have the bands performing, and there's seating, and then there's the food stalls and the craft stalls and the cake stalls, and we've got a magician this year, and we've got face painting for the kids again. So yeah, lots going on.
Yeah, and I know it's not all about you, Dan, but what do you get then as a managing director from being a part of this, building up to it, seeing it happen, being a part of that big day? What do you get from it personally?
I spent a lot of time during, as we all did during the pandemic, sort of clapping for carers. That, the thing we did on a Thursday night, 8 o'clock, stood outside banging pots and pans and clapping for carers. And what sort of struck me was when the world started to turn as normal again, then everybody put the pots and pans away and everybody stopped clapping. So from my perspective, it's a chance for me to carry on that celebration. So we always finish Carefest at 8 o'clock with a clap for carers. So remembering what we were doing during the pandemic. And it's my way, I think, of giving a little bit back to the local community, definitely trying to raise some money for a great charity with Pacers, but also really giving the carers the thanks they deserve, because it's a really challenging role that carers complete. It's a vital role.
Yeah.
So it's a chance really for me to say thank you to all those carers as well.
It's wonderful, and it would be nice if if there was a better feeling about supporting those carers financially as well. How much of that do you feel is a part of what you do then? Is it difficult to kind of put the two together?
No, I mean, we try to do that. As an organisation, we think the work that's done by carers is far more important than a minimum wage salary. So we pay £2 to £3 an hour more than minimum wage. Our carers are on proper contracts, not 0-hour contracts. We pay for the drive time that they complete in between visits, and many carers are driving during the day and not getting paid for that time. So we think it's important that they're getting paid for the work that they're doing. So we're trying in our way to try and sort of elevate the pay to go along with the responsibility. A lot of people talk about care being a vocation, and it genuinely is. People don't care unless they've got a caring soul, but I don't believe people should be punished for that vocation. I think it's something that should be rewarded. And carers, unfortunately, are underrepresented. There's not many people who are shouting for carers, basically. So if we can do a little bit of that, then it helps us as well.
So where can we come then to help you to celebrate our carers? And where can we come then?
Absolutely, it's 31st of July between 2 o'clock and 8 o'clock at Thorncliffe Hall, which is at the Thorncliffe Business Park in Chapeltown, just off junction 35A of the M1. And we have more the merrier. It's open house, free event, as I say, for families, for kids, predominantly for carers.
Right, and if we haven't booked, it's all right to just rock up.
Absolutely is, no problem at all. Yeah.
Bit of rocking up is good. So Dan, before I let you go, we've been talking about live bands and talking about Paul this weekend. You couldn't go because you were moving house.
Yep.
It's bittersweet, that I suppose. Can we talk a little bit about your gig that you would go back to and do all over again because it was so much fun?
Certainly will. Yeah, Def Leppard at the Arena.
So not the one at the at Bramall Lane, not the recent one.
No, from about 3 years ago, and I was really lucky to get tickets actually. So we were caring for a gentleman in Rotherham whose daughter worked at the Arena, and I couldn't get tickets, and she managed to get me a couple of tickets. So we were literally just off to the right of the stage, and it was just an immense gig because for me that was the band of my youth. So there was a bit of sort of rose-coloured spectacles looking back at my youth, but they just gave great value as well.
Yeah.
Def Leppard in a Sheffield gig, you can't argue with that.
Yeah, did some headbanging.
A little bit.
It's lovely, of course you did. Dan Archer, Managing Director of Visiting Angels South Yorkshire, telling us about their 3rd annual Carefest happening on Monday, the 31st of July. Thanks, Dan. Lovely to see you. Thank you very much. Bit of Stephen